All right, guys, so we start kicking into the word problems here. Number 7. Terrence's statement for a new bike costs $460. He has a little bit of money, needs a job to get the rest, so he starts delivering newspapers. He starts setting aside a portion of his paycheck each day for that bike. 10 days is $132. Day 32, he checks again, he has $308. So I need to figure out what the variables mean in this situation. It's a good idea to kind of draw like a little graph. What we're basically talking about is, after a certain amount of day is a certain amount of money. After a certain amount of day is a certain amount of money. So those are kind of hinting at what we're doing here. Basically, we're measuring time in days versus his money saved for a bike. And the days, this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis, because the more days he has, hopefully his savings is going up. Right? So if we're looking at our variables here, this is time in days, and our y, I'm just going to write it over here even though that kind of auto broke down there. This is like dollars that he saved. Okay, that's going to help us out later on in the problem. Now we need to look through this problem and see what we've got. Do we have a y-intercept? So if we had a y-intercept, I'd be looking for things like Terrence started out with $30. Nowhere in here does it say how much money he starts out with. I know on day 10 he had this much money, but on day 0 we don't know how much. A slope, if we had a slope, we'd be looking for something like every day he saves $15. But we don't have that. So we don't have a y-intercept and we don't have a slope, but that's okay because we don't need to fill out all this information. We just need to find all that applies. Like I said, after 10 days, he has $132, and after 32 days, he has $308. So that's more than enough information to solve everything we need. Now what we're doing is we're just trying to find an equation of that line. These are the questions we needed to answer right here. We need to find the equation of the line that represents this. So we do it the same way we did it on the previous problems. I think it was like problem number 4 or something. We had to write an equation like this. If we have 2 points, I know it's y equals mx plus b, right? So what I need to do is I need to find the slope between these 2 points. So I'm going to subtract the y's, 308 minus 132, and I'm going to divide it by the x's, 32 minus 10. Some quick calculating. That's 176 divided by 22, and we get 8. So I know that it's going to be, the equation of my line is going to be y equals 8x plus, well, that b value we don't know. Okay. So let's see if we can figure it out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take either one of my points. I'll just choose the one with the smaller numbers, 132, and I'm going to plug it in. 10 is my x value, so I know that right now it's y equals 8x plus b. The 10 was my x value, and the 132 is my y value. Everything else comes down and follows. And now I'm just solving that equation for b. So I have 132 equals 80 plus b. So I'm going to subtract 80 from both sides, and I'm going to get b equals 52. So my equation is that. I erased it a little bit. Now we want to figure out some things about this. If we're thinking about this graph, we basically have a y-intercept up here at 52, right? And we said that this was dollars, and this was time. And we have a slope that says we go over 1, up 8, over 1, up 8, more or less, right? So if we want to figure out question C, it says, what's the slope mean in this situation? Well, we're talking about time and days. That means every single day he saves $8 more. Every single day, $8 more. Before we reduced that, we had 176 over 22. What that meant is we saved $176 in 22 days. When we reduced it, it became a far more useful number. D said, what's the y-intercept mean in this situation? Well, our y-intercept's right here. It's a point, and we're going to write it as a point as 0, 52. Right? So 0 is our x value, which was time. So that means on 0, Days, how much money did he have? He had $52. That's his starting value for his money. The last question is how long until he can buy that bike? For this one, we have to go back to our original equation, which is y equals 8x plus 152. I'm going to write that a little bit lower. It was good, my 8 was ugly anyway. And we have to think about what our variables meant. Remember, y stood for money, and x stood for days. So when they ask us how long until you can buy the bike in Part E, we've got to think. And remember, the bike was $460. So $460 is a y value. And what we're trying to solve for is the days, the x value. So I substitute that in, and I'm going to use my equation to solve from here. Subtract 52 from both sides, and I get 408 equals 8x. Divide both sides by 8, and I want to say that this is 51, but it's very early in the morning, and I just want to make sure. Yeah, 51. So that means in 51 weeks he can buy his bike.